Dalit as one part of the social. Dalits would know their limits only in the conditions where they can judge where they are. Where they can judge the conditions within which they can look at where they are. And that is the understanding of your limits, which is also theoretically possible. Thus, when they make judgment that they do not need to study philosophy, they already know the limits of their intellectual being. I'm just taking one example of this. In other words, limits is always determinate of being in its negativity. So actually we are re-signifying negativity. That we are not itself is so powerfully charged towards making you think about the limits you are placed in. So the notion of limit in this ontology is so important because it actually navigates you into different intellectual journey. If you do not know your limits, I don't think there is any possibility that you are becoming a thinking being. So it's a determinant of being in its negativity. Thus, it is the realization about what one is and what one is not. In case of Dalit, they are better placed to do empirical studies. I'm just qualifying it. But you might further say that they are also cut out for much larger abstract studies. They can also do that abstract studies. Such people who exist at the level of what they are would find their existence as sedimented, substantialized. This is Homo hierarchus of Louis Dumont, because caste is extending, and also essentialized. To put it very simply, you ghettoize yourself into your own cocoons and identity. At its worst, it would become an ontological wound, and therefore a continuous moral source of unhappiness or unhappy consciousness. That is at the worst. If you really do not want to move out of this sedimentation, then I think your negativity might become a kind of ontological wound, and this is Commonwealth term. Ontological wound, which will be a constant moral source of producing unhappy consciousness. Do you want to stay in unhappy consciousness all the time? You are privileged to walk out at the first instance from this. Do you want to take that historical chance to walk out? Is the moral challenge. And this is the commitment. This is the ontological commitment one is talking about. They are folded, therefore, and frozen into narrow identity. They are pushed and enclosed into such state of being by the reductive metaphysics of totalization. This is the one we are talking about over and above ontology. To know what is over and above, there also you require some kind of metaphysics. Therefore, I am already making a case for epistemology and metaphysics. You just can't do it. If you really want to know that you are also existing over and above this collectivity, then you will have to really summon to service epistemology and philosophy. What is this metaphysics? Totalized metaphysics, which is really pushing you all the time, folding your body into negative or unhappy consciousness. What is that? Obviously, it is Brahmanism. That is the metaphysics actually which is reducing you to that negativity. And if it is women, it is patriarchy and several other things. If it is working class, then capitalism. And you have to have a counter metaphysics to do certain things. So that's one challenge. So folded, therefore, do you really want to demarcate yourself away from nothingness, negativity? And I think there is no option. Yes, you want to move away from nothingness to become something meaningful. How do you do? How do you flow? How do you flow out of your negativity? Folding, how do you how do you transcend your folded body? And it is very much important to understand the feminist discourse actually. Their bodies are all the time folded, both figuratively, literally, and also metaphysically. Dalits' body is also very, very folded all the time. The body language anywhere is the evidence that they are folded. And that is the challenge to work out from this constraining ontological into epistemological, and therefore Dalit themselves need to work out from their being Dalit or Dalit self into beings that are the part of totality, the collective. I would like to work out from one specific being into the multitude of beings as a part of totality, and that is the big emancipatory project that it should have, and that is the social we are talking about. You, by working out of this, you can really feel yourself valued, collectively valued, respect-worthy beings, and you also enjoy your existence. It's not a burden on you. Your existence is not a burden, but today it has become a burden. Partly because you are so much rooted into empiricism, which has itself become a burden. And therefore can you not be aesthetics, aesthetically pleasant, for example. So these are issues that are important. We need to really discuss them, possibly across disciplines in every subject. Why only in the philosophy? Everywhere we must discuss. In German, you should discuss it. So this is the point. And do we have another 5 minutes? No. No. Okay. So, but then this flowing is difficult. You are pushed into that state of existence where you find existence itself has become a burden. And again, and I keep repeating this point, and that is, I'm very fond about this point, Toni Morrison's point. Why is that? What is an ontological explanation to see that the blacks do not grow in the eyes of whites? Because Kant said so. Despite the fact, Rousseau told him, look here, how can you be philosopher of the world if you really hold blacks into very bad light? And then Kant is rectifying in the light of the suggestion made by Rousseau. That is all, that debate is there. So, what are the other? Therefore, I think ontology becomes also political. That, in Hegel, for example, I am different from you, very Heideggerian, I am different from you. My text is different from yours. My speech act is different from yours. I am different. And that is a very smart way of saying that I am superior. I am superior. There is a discursive take on this. Therefore, in Hegel it is insinuation that you exist at that level, but I am different from you. And therefore, you are actually, in a way, making an arrangement to save your text, your speech, act, your philosophy from falling into the ordinary. You can always say, some people say, yo, you should read this, not my text. To put it differently. So there is an ontological difference already taking place. So ontology itself becomes a political thing. And then I have a small two para passage here, but I don't want to read it just to save you from boredom. So this is one problem that we face in our social life. The second problem we face is that you elevate people, and therefore I think as we are saying that it's not simply political ontology, it is also phenomenological at some level, where you find that your texts are making your text, your philosophical creation is being elevated to the higher levels of sophistication, and by definition, therefore, you are actually running down other people. Now, those who are in questions will also use the sources, epistemological sources, to elevate themselves from what they are, to who they are, from what they are to who they are, and the elevation is possible. So you are in a way trying to resolve or redeem yourself. You want to shed off your burden, put it differently. You want to shed off your burden by actually modifying yourself, mediating yourself into some concepts which are very, very abstract, universally valid and respect worthy. That is the resource that is available to those people to really resimplify their own life, to appear in the public not as a part of identity but as the part of universal ideas. So you become an idea and you redeem your unhappy consciousness by actually meditating yourself in terms of the idea. Suppose you become idea, you are actually transforming yourself, your existence into a metaphysical entity. You become equality, for example, or you become social justice. Why should people really be bothering about it? But this suffering which is redeemed in this universality is inverted. That concept doesn't enjoy that epistemological status and respect, because you are again reduced to this concept. And I keep saying this, you don't need to really ask Dalits who are there. You just call them, they are social justice communities. You don't need to call them scheduled caste. You just social justice. This is a very, very problematic inversion. So in a way, you are actually denying what kind of social reality you are assigning to a concept. What is the quality of the concept, therefore? And therefore, I think if that is the thing, then we have to destroy this ontology of the concept on a very priority basis. And therefore, you have to also critique Heidegger on this, because he is the one who is actually seeking differentiation. Though he is very, very attractive people who are working on this. So these are issues we thought we should. I thought I should discuss with you, and I have some more points, but I'll just stop here in a very Delhi way. I don't have time. I don't have points anyway. Thank you so much.